Welcome to Season 2, Episode 30 of our monologue series. Today's topic is the common thread. Now, you know how you've tried everything and you can still feel those negative sensations in your body. It might be a jaw that won't unclench. It may be your shoulders up around your ears. It may be that low hum of an alarm running underneath what you're thinking. And you've probably read the books and you've heard all the advice 100 times. Breathe, get grounded, feel it in your body, be patient with the process. And still, when you close your eyes at night, you can picture the thing that happened as if it's happening again right now in Technicolor. Well, the bigger problem isn't that you haven't tried hard enough. Nope. It's that almost everything you tried was managing that negative emotional charge instead of removing the trigger. And you and I both know the difference. You can feel calm for an afternoon and still feel the whole thing come roaring back the moment something sets it off. Now imagine just for a moment that the tiredness and the alarm aren't who you are. Imagine they're symptoms of something that can actually be updated, resolved, healed, because that's what the research tells us. Trauma is an injury that can heal. And I want one thing from you today. Stay open to that possibility for the next few minutes, please. Here's what I want you to see and hear and experience. Walk into the trauma world as someone who's suffering, and you get handed a catalog. And the catalog includes talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, somatic work, breathwork, neurofeedback, tapping, psychedelics, parts work. Each one has its book, its testimonials, its true believers. And most of them do something. They soothe you. They settle your nervous system for an afternoon. Some of them build a new pathway between the trigger and a calmer response. And that's real and that's important. But here's the part nobody says out loud. All of that's coping mechanism. It's not resolution. A skill you place between the trigger and the old reaction is a coping skill. The memory underneath, it stays exactly where it was, fully charged, waiting for the day the skill isn't fast enough. Now watch what happens when you narrow it down to what actually works. That list gets short fast. Now the International Society for Traumatic Stress Studies is the standard-setting body in this field. Their strong recommendations come down to a small cluster. That cluster includes some things that are common in what they do. There's newer protocols just outside the guidelines with startling numbers. These are called things like RTM, Reconsolidation of Traumatic Memories. Now, over 90% of the people in its trial scored below the threshold for PTSD. So put those treatments aside and something strange stands out. They look nothing alike. One has you follow a moving hand with your eyes like EMDR, and one has you run the memory backwards in a film in reverse. One has you write out the worst day and read it again, like prolonged exposure. Different rooms, different scripts, different theories. And they all arrive at the same place. So the real question isn't which one is best. The real question should be, what is the common denominator among the therapies that work? And some of the therapies that work really well are the NLP-based therapies. Funny enough, tapping has some really, really extraordinary results. And here's the thread that connects the ones that work. Every treatment that truly works asks you to hold the charged memory in your mind while it loads your working memory with a second demanding visual-spatial task. Now, this isn't my hunch. It has a paper behind it back in 1997. They tested why eye movements like EMDR seemed to help. And what they found was that the image got less vivid with eye movements, just as much as with tapping tasks that they had nothing to do with their eyes. The eyes were never the point. A recalled image and a demanding visual task can't both fill your working memory at full strength. Load the workspace and the memory goes dim. Now, other researchers spent 15 years testing that. And their conclusion was blunt. It's not the eye movements. It's not the bilateral anything. What matters is the task taxes the working memory. I'll say that again. It's not the eye movements back and forth. It's not the following the hand. That's not the thing. It's that the task taxes the working memory. EMDR taxes the working memory with the eyes. RTM and NLP tax the working memory by changing the picture, by watching the movie, right? And so by different names, they do the same thing. They have a visual spatial tasking of the short-term working memory. Same engine. So visual spatial tasking, to my mind, is whether the protocol calls it that or not, is what works. And here's why it changes things instead of just dimming them. When you deliberately activate an emotional memory, it becomes unstable for a short window before it resaves itself. Of course, it has a name. It becomes labile. Now, Karim Nader and Joseph Ledoux proved this at the cellular level back in 2000. Activate a memory, and for a brief moment, it has to be written back to the disk. Whatever's true in your workspace during that window is what gets saved. Now, here's where you get leverage. Visual spatial tasking holds the memory open and drains the charge at the same time. So the version that gets saved is a calm one. The change is neurological. The change is physical. And it's not a nicer story you tell yourself. It's the same story. It just has no trigger, no charge. Now, this is the foundation of the work I train, effective memory resolution. It's built on rigorous visual spatial tasking of your working memory done at the exact moment the target effective memory is live, labile, and editable. Now, done well, done accurately, done properly, the distress falls away fast. My experience has been with hundreds and hundreds of traumatized clients, that night that we clear a charged memory, they sleep. And while they sleep, their brain does what it couldn't do while the memory stayed charged. During REM sleep, in the deep part of an ultradian cycle, it separates the feeling from the facts. It separates the emotions from the content and context. And the memory finally settles. And by settles, I mean it leaves the short-term working memory and goes into long-term coherent memory. And by coherent, I mean it can be recalled without any inappropriate or unwarranted negative charge. So sleep isn't the goal you chase. Sleep is the marker that the system has actually stood down. Visual spatial tasking is a tool that gives you the resolution. So if you're a practitioner, stop treating your method like a brand. You don't have to defend the brand. Start treating it like a delivery system for a mechanism. Find the moment your client's working memory gets taxed while the memory is live and labile. Get better at taxing your client's short-term working memory with visual spatial tasking. Why visual? Why spatial? Because visual imagery carries thousands of times more data than words. And if you're the one carrying the memory, know this: resolution is possible in a brief series of sessions, and it's not about being patient forever. Now, you can come find the work at inspire.com. And please, 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 stay open to the possibility. It's way closer than you think.